Manchester, a city shaped by industry, rebellion, and reinvention. Every street here tells a story, but some stories were never meant to be remembered. Down back alleys, behind sealed doors, and buried beneath our feet are the overlooked pieces of the city's past, fragments of forgotten plans, resilience and silence. One's a rusted, cast iron survivor, standing just feet from where the city was torn apart. Another's a hidden network, 115 feet below ground, built in secrecy and long denied by those who created it. They both still exist, and they're both hiding in plain sight. This is the hidden side of Manchester.
In a city filled with construction and change, some things are deliberately kept quiet. On the surface, George Street looks like any other corner of Manchester, but beneath the surface is something built in secret, and it's been hiding in plain sight for decades. Location number 1 takes us to a site that was built out of Cold War paranoia, and a fire in 2008 revealed its true identity.
115 feet below ground sits a hidden structure, once known by its code name as Scheme 567. Today it's referred to as the Guardian Telephone Exchange. The site was kept out of public records, shielded by special media restrictions, and those that worked there bounded by official confidentiality agreements that lasted decades. Because this wasn't just any workplace. It was designed to house some of the UK's most skilled engineers and communications specialists, trained to keep the country connected during moments of national emergency. Entire teams worked underground, in secure chambers, fitted with power supplies, living quarters, and recreational space. The access points to this hidden system are scattered across Manchester and Salford, tucked away down back streets, all nondescript, and all still sealed. Some believe the tunnels stretch towards the city tower, or connected to long forgotten chambers beneath Manchester's town hall. And the strangest part, no one really knows what's happening down there now. The location remains restricted. No signage, no access, and no explanations. Is it dormant, or has it been repurposed for something that we're not supposed to know about? There are theories that it's still on standby, reserved for critical use if the world above ever faces disruption again. A safe place for the elite. Too far-fetched maybe, but when you stand there and look at what remains, it's hard not to wonder, what else is hiding beneath Manchester? And why are we still not allowed in?
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Right, so here I am, and I'm on George Street in Manchester, sort of in the heart of Chinatown really. Now this sort of unassuming building that you can see, with all the razor wire around it and the cameras, security cameras, this is the Guardian Telephone Exchange. Now this was built in the height of the Cold War paranoia, around the 1950s, and basically it was a telecommunications facility for the government. Basically that if anything did kick off, Manchester would sort of still be okay. It goes 115 feet down It is a secret facility that was unrecognised by the council. The press couldn't write anything about it. They weren't allowed to go and take photographs of it. This is was top secret. Now, like I said, it was built for securing Manchester in case of the event of something catastrophic did happen. It would still be fine. And it ran up until about the 1960s, and the veil sort of was slipping. People were sort of cracking on to what was going on here, that it was a facility for the government. Now, for decades after, obviously, when the Cold War sort of had been and gone, for decades after, it sort of just lay dormant, this, and nobody thought anything of it and thought it was out of use. You know, it was something for the Cold War, but it's not in use anymore. And every now and then, you will see tiny upgrades to it, more razor wire, more, cameras and stuff like that. And the mystery sort of thickens because even though it was sort of classed as not functional and it didn't exist, almost like Manchester's version of an Area 51, it was still very much in function. And around the 2000, I think it was 2008, a massive fire broke out underground 115 feet down. So there was a fire and it wiped out the telecommunications system for the whole of Manchester. 130,000 homes and emergency services were totally kaput. It was gone, which made people think, hold on a minute, this is still functional. What is it still doing? And the mystery and mystique around it just seems to grow year after year, decade after decade. But it is a very intimidating sort of building, and it has got its back to you. It's almost like it's got its arse to you. And either way you look at it, you go around the other side, it's just unassuming. There's sort of no entrance point other than this sort of Men in Black kind of door behind me with the hatch. And that is sort of it. But yeah, it's a very mysterious building, and I'd give my right arm just to go in and have a nosy about. But people think this isn't in function, or it's just sort of, it's just an abandoned building and that it's not used, but there is stuff going on in there that I would love to know what was going on. But yeah, that building right there holds a few secrets, to say the least. So I've just scooted around the other side. Now this is the other side of the actual building where I was filming before. And, it's got its back to you, totally. The whole building. And there's razor wire everywhere, and there's cameras. And even the windows there, if you look at the windows, they're sort of boarded from the inside. But it's got to be the most strangest building in Manchester. It does not follow suit. There's not even an entry point, Everything's just bricked up, totally bricked up. Well, that, to me, just looks stranger than it did on the other side. It's so weird. But yeah, this is the most mysterious building in Manchester by far, I'd say. And I'm sure it is still in use today, even though it doesn't look like it. It's looked like this for decades. But I'm sure that it's still very, very much a functioning building. And who knows what goes on underground, 115 feet underground. Like that. There's hundreds of letterboxes in Manchester, and most of them just blend into the background. But there's one that stands out and tells a story that changed Manchester forever. It's a story of survival, a story of defiance. Location number 2 takes us to Corporation Street, right in the heart of the city, when one unassuming letterbox stood tall when everything else fell apart.
It started like any other Saturday. The shops were busy, streets filled with families, workers and tourists. But beneath the normality, a van had parked up on Corporation Street. And on June the 15th, 1996, that very van exploded, with one of the largest devices ever detonated in the UK since World War II. The blast injured over 200 people, flattening buildings across the city centre. Glass shattered half a mile away. Debris rained from the sky. And yet there were no fatalities, thanks to a last-minute evacuation. And when the dust cleared, something unexpected was left behind. A red cast iron letterbox, still standing, slightly scorched but intact. The post inside, delivered. It was removed during the city's long rebuilding process. And in 1999 it returned, in the same spot, the same strength. But this isn't just any old letterbox. This is a symbol of Manchester's defiance. The bomb cost millions of pounds worth of damage, but it also marked a turning point that led to one of the most ambitious regeneration projects in British history. The Arndale Centre was rebuilt, the Exchange Square was created, and historic pubs were moved brick by brick, dismantled and then rebuilt. A city devastated was reborn. And this little red letterbox is still here. It's quiet, it's overlooked, but it's powerful. More than just paint and steel. It's a monument, a survivor, and a reminder that Manchester stands tall, no matter what is thrown at it.
Right, so here you have it. Now this is the location where the lorry was parked up. It was parked up just here, near these lights. And, you know, that day it exploded and ripped through the heart of Manchester and changed it forever. This whole area that you can see, this stretch of like walkway that links these two buildings together, was destroyed. The whole of the city on this side of Manchester was completely destroyed. And you know, it was devastating, absolutely devastating what happened. But I'm just going to take you over to this one little thing, because out of everything that basically got destroyed and transformed, you know, forever, it lost its identity back then of what it were, and it rebuilt. But this little letterbox right here is a symbol of much more than just a letterbox, because this is the sole survivor of what happened that day. And if I just read this little plaque on the side here, it says, "This post box remains standing almost undamaged on June 15, 1996, when this area was devastated by a bomb. The box was removed during the rebuilding of the city centre and was returned to its original site on November the 22nd, 1999. So this is the sole survivor, basically, of what happened that day. It is much more than just a letterbox. This is a symbol of defiance in the face of terror, and it's a pillar of resilience, and just goes to show that no matter what you do, you know, we'll never forget what happened that day, but we're always here to sort of face it head on if we need to. And like I said, and you will have seen in this video, it transformed this whole part of Manchester. You know, this was devastating. Where I was stood, where I'm actually stood now, was the core centre of where this took place. And luckily, you know, nobody lost their lives. Thankfully, miraculously, nobody lost their lives. But I even remember this going off. I was playing football on Whit Lane with my mate, and I heard this big boom, and it was from here. But it happened right here and just devastated this area of Manchester. But that right there, to me, is just a symbol of, you know, it stares terror in the face and says, no matter what you do, we will always be here to face you head on.
It's strange, innit? How something so ordinary could mean so much. Most people walk past it without a second glance. But if you stop, and if you really look at it, you'll see more than just metal. You'll see a symbol of strength, of a city that refused to be broken. That moment in 1996 changed Manchester forever. But from the devastation came unity. From destruction came resilience. And this small red box stood through it all. And maybe that's why it still matters. Not because it survived, but because it reminds us that so did the city.
Right, so there you have it. Now that was two sort of darker stories of Manchester. One being the Guardian telephone exchange, which to me is just a mystery and it poses more questions than answers. It's a pivotal part of Manchester's history too. You know, it was there ultimately to protect the country, to protect the city. But little did people know, you know, decades later, it was still very much a functional building. And I'm sure it is today in some capacity. But it's just a real weird one. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'd love to have a little nosy down there and see what is actually going on. But I suppose I'll never find out. But it'd be nice to hear of someone that actually did. Maybe somebody that's watching this has actually worked there. You know, I would love to know if you could share your thoughts with me. Just like what was it like going down there? I mean, 115 feet underground. You're literally walking under streets and walking under the city. Hundreds of years worth of history, and you're just sort of walking through the tunnels. It's absolutely crazy to think, but I would love to do it. And then the second one is like one of Manchester's darkest days, really, isn't it? I think we all sort of know what we were doing on that day. Like I said, I remember playing football with my mate at the time, and we heard this massive boom, and we sort of both just stopped and looked at each other like, what the hell was that? And you know, it brought, like I say, that letterbox is more than just a letterbox. It is a symbol of Manchester's strength, you know, in the face of terror. All them, it's sort of symbolic to the city that no matter what you do, it's still standing, kind of thing. You know, you can throw everything at us, but we'll still be there to sort of face it head on. And it's more than just a letterbox. And I've sort of always, and I'm going to get people saying it's a post box, and it is a post box, but I've always called it a letterbox since being a kid. And I know it's a post box, but I've always, you put letters in a box, so it's a letterbox to me. But yeah, it's also a post box. It probably is more of a post box than a letterbox. But anyway, I'm drifting off the whole video here. So basically, I hope you've enjoyed the video. It's been an absolute pleasure and an eye-opener to me to make. I just want to thank you. I'm sorry for the sort of gap in video. It's been like 4 weeks since the last one, but I've had an extremely busy past couple of weeks, and it's been hard to juggle. It's been hard to get out and film with obviously work and things on every weekend. So yeah, it's been a bit hectic, so apologies on my behalf for not getting the videos out quicker. And let me know down below in the comments, did you know any of these stories? Where was you on the day in 1996? Where was you? Do you remember it? You know? And one thing I will say is, if this is the first time that you've watched the video, it would be much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost a penny, but it helps me get out and go and film and keeps me motivated. And if you do know anyone that would be interested in this video, maybe, you know, you was in Manchester that day in 96, or maybe you worked at the Guardian telephone exchange, who knows, and you know a few stories, just share it to them. It would mean the world, and it really does help the video get pushed out and, you know, brings the stories to life for other people. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. And until the next time, I will see you all soon. Take care, everyone. Cheers.